So when it comes to the top 5 most controversial things in Apex Legends, I'm sure you guys can think of quite a few right now. Hello everyone, my name is Mirko and welcome back to the channel and welcome to my brand new top 5 series where we take a subject and we bring you guys the top 5 things regarding that subject in Apex Legends. Be sure to comment down below on the top 5 video you guys would like to see next on the channel, and your comment might be featured in my next top 5 video. And as always, if you go ahead and enjoy today's video, be sure to drop a big thumbs up down below, and without further ado, let's get into the top 5 most controversial things in Apex Legends. So in no particular order, the first most controversial thing is looting teammates' death boxes. Now I'm not going to lie to you guys, I'm going to put my hands up and say I have looted so many of my teammates' loot boxes before purely because I've been in a situation where I've needed more loot. Now some people argue the fact that because they've managed to keep the team alive, they deserve all of the loot next to them, including your loot, because they've managed to keep the team alive, they've managed to keep you alive, and they're most probably going to respawn you back into the game. And then the other half would actually argue that they're not actually being a good team player, and when you do spawn in, if they've taken your loot, you're going to have a very hard time trying to find any loot towards their mid to late stages of the game. Now this is where I stand in regards to stealing teammates' loot. Now if you're in the early stages of the game, sometimes you just have to take what your teammates have because you might be out of ammo and you need to take some ammo, you might need body shield, and I believe in them early stages of the game when you actually need the loot, I think it's okay to take teammates' loot if it means keeping the team alive. But when it comes to the mid to late stages of the game and you have some decent loot on you and you're just being greedy and seeing what your teammate has on offer, I believe that's actually a little bit disrespectful, bearing in mind the teammate has taken all of that time to loot up what they've got and you're just going to take it all away from them and actually leave them with hardly anything when they come back into the map. I think that's being a really bad team player and you're just thinking about yourself. But I suppose that person could argue that they're the ones that have kept the team alive, and it's always going to be a very controversial subject. Now moving on to the second most controversial thing in Apex Legends is Caustic's gas. Now Caustic's gas is something that I'm sure has annoyed all of us at one point when playing Apex Legends, and bearing in mind in the past few weeks he's received a huge buff. When you are actually going into a room and Caustic's gas sets off, you are in huge trouble. Now this is specifically aimed at Caustic's tactical ability because you can hold up to 3 canisters at one time and each canister can charge up every 25 seconds. Now a lot of people actually claim that Caustic's gas is very overpowered and needs a huge nerf, especially towards them late stages of the game. If you're playing ranked, Caustic's gas could be the reason for you to lose that match or win that match depending on whose team Caustic is on. Now of course you can deactivate these canisters by shooting at the bottom of each canister, but the problem here is that people hide them very well. They hide them towards the corners of each room and all you have to do is walk into that room. Not only will you be dealing damage each second, but your movement is going to be reduced ever so slightly as well, which makes it even harder to escape Caustic's gas, bearing in mind you can't move as fast as you usually can. Now just because Caustic is really annoying to play against, that doesn't necessarily mean he's overpowered and he needs to be nerfed. I actually think he's perfect how he is now, and I just think he adds to that defensive playstyle that a lot of legends don't offer. The defensive legends need to be just as powerful as the aggressive legends, so there's variety for everyone with all different sorts of playstyles. But as I said earlier, this is always going to be a very controversial subject on whether or not Caustic's gas needs to be nerfed or it's perfect just how it is. Moving on to the next most controversial subject in Apex Legends, it was added ever since the addition of Season 2, and I'm sure some of you guys would have guessed this would have been in my top 5 video. It's the Disruptor rounds, specifically with the Alternator. Now, if you guys managed to use this thing before it got nerfed, I think it was within 1 or 2 days of Season 2, this thing was an absolute machine. The combination of the Alternator and the Disruptor rounds could absolutely destroy people from medium even to long ranges at times. If some of you guys aren't aware on what this attachment does, it basically deals more damage to people's body shields, and before the patch it was absolutely overpowered, and even after the patch I still believe it's slightly overpowered. Bearing in mind at medium to even long ranges at times it can still keep up with some assault rifles. Now an SMG is only meant to be really good up close and average at medium range. It's not meant to be really good at medium range and average at long range, and I think the Alternator with disruptor rounds instantly melts people's body shields. You obviously have to be accurate as well, but if your accuracy is already on point, you can cause some real problems for enemies. Now, the Alternator by itself has been known to be a fairly weak SMG compared to its competition, the R99, and I must agree that the R99 compared to the Alternator without disruptor rounds, there is absolutely no competition. The R99 completely outshines this weapon, and that's why I think they've added this attachment, because weapons like the Alternator and the RE45 have known to be fairly weak weapons, and with this attachment they are very good contenders to be some of the best weapons in the game purely for this attachment. Now, I'm going to leave it up to you guys on whether or not the disruptor rounds needs a huge nerf or whether it's fine as it is, but one thing I will tell you guys is every time I'm going against enemies that are using the disruptor rounds, because you can tell with the sound of the gun whether or not they're using this attachment, I try to play very defensive and I won't usually play as aggressive as I would, because I know my body shield can get melted so quickly in a gunfight against someone using the Alternator with disruptor rounds that I have to be that extra careful. So the fourth thing that has made it onto this controversial list is Pathfinders Grapple. Now, only recently people have actually started complaining more about Pathfinders Grapple, and that's probably because the addition of ranked mode. A lot of people want to see an increase in the charge up time for Pathfinders Grapple, because I'm sure you guys know what capabilities the Grapple has. I mean, first of all, you can gain height almost in 2 or 3 seconds straight away. The storm is basically non-existent for you and you can escape it almost every single time, and you can also use the grapple as a really good rotational technique. The list goes on how you can abuse Pathfinder's Grapple. Now, I do think they need to increase the amount of times you can use Pathfinder's Grapple, maybe increase the charge up time ever so slightly, because as I said, you can really get around the map so much more faster than other players just by using the grapple every 14 seconds. And remember, this is only his tactical ability, and Pathfinder's ultimate ability is also a really good ability. It's probably one of the best abilities in the game, purely because it gives your team a better advantage and can put your whole team in a better position. You can bring your team all the way up to a height advantage, or you can just help them rotate quicker into the next ring. Now, the last thing that has made it onto this list is third partying, or being third party. Now, I don't think this is controversial at all. I think this is something that everybody hates that plays Apex Legends, and it's something that you just can't avoid when you're playing this game. Although you can't completely avoid being third partied in this game, you can adapt to the situation and use things like repositioning skills to really help make do with the situation. Now, I actually made a video on third partying a few weeks ago. If you guys want to check that out, it will give you some crucial tips on how to deal with being third partied, but it's just something you cannot avoid in this game. However, I do think the devs at Apex Legends can help avoid this situation ever so slightly. They could increase the player count so there's multiple gunfights going on in different areas of the map. Because at the moment, if one gunfight goes off in the map, everyone's going to come to that gunfight because that's the only thing they can hear on the map, and it's just going to draw a lot of attention from loads of players. If you guys have got any suggestions on how you think third partying can be improved in Apex Legends, be sure to let me know down below in the comment section. But as of right now, I think third partying is a huge part of this game, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere anytime soon. So that is going to wrap up my top 5 most hated or top 5 most controversial things in Apex Legends. And as always guys, if you want your comment to be featured in my next top 5 video, be sure to leave your top 5 suggestions down below in the comment section. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed, and be sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future top 5 videos or any future Apex Legends tips videos on the channel. Thank you all for watching this Apex Legends video. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch all of you guys out in another brand new Apex Legends video.